Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel vs. System 2-player card game box. This is for the House of X. This is the beginning of Volume 5. Well, it's not beginning of Volume 5. It's set number 5. It's in Volume 5, so it's issue number 4. It's the set of the Heroes of Krakoa block. So yeah, for like the House of X, just a quick brief overview on the storyline is the X-Men basically like time travel, Moira McTaggart, and stuff like this. She died, she came back. Alternate futures decide she would talk to Xavier, who talked to Magneto, who then worked with Apocalypse, some other people, and essentially they set this giant plan up. And then what they do is they pull the island of Krakoa, and made it the home base for the X-Men and any mutant. It's basically is a mutant territory. They've tried this before. They've tried to have Kenosha, Astra M, or various other places, Utopia. But this is basically like this is their own continent or own country, and they gave up some medicine and stuff, and basically, hey, if you guys recognize us as a country, we'll give you this extra free medicine to help heal people and do stuff like that. And then Krakoa basically became, so instead of there being good mutants and evil mutants, it was mutants. They all work together. They're trying to like live with humanity, but live outside of humanity. So it's kind of like the mixture of both worlds, of mixing Xavier and Magneto's philosophy. So this is the beginning of that arc. So in this story, we're going to get highlights the Age-old battle of mutant kindness. Professor X's estimate face off against Master of Magnetism Magneto and his Brotherhood. So it's kind of interesting because it's supposed to start off talking about like the Age of X, where all the mutants came together. But then the set literally just has X-Men versus Brotherhood, which on one hand doesn't really make sense, but on the other hand, I'm actually more grateful for it because the last time we had a big new thing with a bunch of X-Men was the Utopia set, and we ended up with Resistance characters, which were neat, way to add new versions of different characters we'd seen before, but they weren't then more X-Men or Brotherhood characters. So this is going to get us more characters to add to those decks. This is also a big box set. So it's actually going to be like a new starter deck. It's going to have, what, say 200 cards in there? Yeah, 200 brand new cards. Full rulebook. So if you haven't played this before and you want to jump into Versus system, and you like the X-Men characters versus Avengers or whoever else, this isn't a bad way to start off. The two separate decks lets you get some good options. Then the follow-up sets after this, because each like little series has 2 extra expansions after. So I have 3 expansions. This is a big one. We'll have the new Brotherhood, which will have more Brotherhood characters, and then the last one will be X-Force, which will have some more X-Men characters. So I'm not going to do a big read-through of the entire book. I've probably done that in the first Versus video. But just as a quick reminder, so yeah, if you played the old game, you can hop in and play this. Issues and giant size issues. So it's frequent expansion with 55 card issues in giant size, which is this one, which is a 200. So they started renaming them to kind of theme with the comic book theme. Has X-Men and Brotherhood, so good and evil teams. Your card types, you're going to get your main characters, who are going to be level 1, level 2. You can only have 1 main character per game. Later sets or different other sets can also add level 3s, possibly level 4s very rarely. And then supporting characters, which other characters you play during the game. These are basically how you attack and defend and do damage. Plot twists, which are kind of like generally like one-off cards. They play something, do something, they go away. Equipment, they stick around a little bit longer. They come in, they attach to something. It says, no, there are no equipment in this issue, but there are some in the upcoming X-Force issue. So yeah, they're not as common as they used to be. You can only play plot twists if you have a face-up character to match a team name affiliation. So if it's an X-Men card, you can only have X-Men play it. So they do limit which ones. There are sometimes ones that don't have anything, but generally, if they have a thing, they have to be played with it. And then locations, which are what you can use to help pay for special cards or abilities. They're a resource in the game. Lets you pay for your cards, play different ones. Cool. So I don't want to get too much into all of this. various different stuff we're going to have. We go on that there are 3 rows in your game: front row, back row, and resource row. On your turn, you may play a location face up or another card from your hand face down to your resource row. This is to pay for your cards. When you recruit a character, it goes in your front or back row. Characters in your front row are your melee fighters. They protect characters in your back row. Characters in your back row are safer, but they only attack if they have the range symbol. And then you can stun characters. When a character is defeated in combat or its defense is reduced to 0, it becomes stunned. Turn it face down, exhausted. Remove all counters from it, tail any equipment, and put a wound counter. Can't be attacked, use your powers, and you'll recover. When a character has to lose as many wounds on its health as it's tailed, you tail it. So they'll take damage over time. So example here, Polaris has 1 health. So she gets hurt once, someone attacks her and defeats her once, she's done. Where your main characters have, like Magneto here, why is my camera so much out of focus? Has 5 health, so it's going to take him a little bit longer to be defeated. Hopefully you're going to be protecting him. Setting up the game, board gets set up pretty easy there. Front row, back row. Very simple. I don't want to spend too much time on the rules. I'd like to just kind of get into the cards, but I just wanted to go stuff. So there's, you can make melee combat versus guys in front of you. You can make ranged attacks from guys from 1 row away. There's also flight, so you can fly over guys, and then ranged and flight lets you fly from the back row to the front row. And then team attacks. If you have characters of the same team affiliation, and they have the same ranged thing, melee, range, or flying, they add up together to attack together. So if you have a couple of weaker guys, they can all join up together and attack as one giant unit instead, which makes them really cool. And that's a good advantage of playing a bunch of characters of the same team. Like this, you start with X-Men and Brotherhood. You could mix and match, make your own deck with a combination of 2. You just won't be able to team attack with them. There are special keywords and powers. Some just do stuff like keyword powers. Superpowers will have one of these symbols which are shown in the location. You have to spend one of your locations to use them. So very simple there. Powering up, supporting characters. Can be used in another way. If you have a card in your hand with the same name as your main character or a supporting character, you may discard to power up that character. So most games, if you have 3 or 4 copies of a character, you just play them out. This game does not let you do that. If you have Cyclops on the table, whether he's a main character or a supporting character, you cannot play an additional Cyclops. It's kind of like keep the thing, keep everything sort of the same. But if you do have them, you can discard it from your hand to power up one of your previous Cyclopses. So they're not just sitting there completely useless. Sample decks you can build. Switching main characters, have some references on who's harder than who. Card specifications. I don't want to get into all that. The other thing to mention, just really quick here, is our 2 universes. Illustrated universe, comic book art, with drawing or painted artwork, including cards and if you want this. And the photographic universe, which is images from the movies or TV shows. So you build a deck, you can't mix cards together, including the main character from one to the other. However, you can play one against the other. So, occasionally there are sets that involve the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU. You just can't mix the 2 different types of decks together. Otherwise, you can make them either way. So, if you don't really like those, you can buy one or you can buy the other. References, blah, 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 some other stuff. We're not going to get into all that too much. I was looking for the one page I did miss. Alright, your main characters are your finally you'll tail your opponent's main character or the characters. That's how you win the game. Tailing your other opponent's character. That's why keeping them protected is a very important thing to do. Alright, and then we get a little sheet of counters with plus counters, minus counters, some X for wounds, some XP tokens, and they're all double-sided, so you have some 3s in there, in case you need to add a bunch more. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and hop into this. Sorry for that little bit of a long intro, but I did kind of want to give people an idea because there hasn't been a big base set for a little while. They only do it every couple of sets. So we're going to start off with our first leader of the X-Men. We have Banshee, good old Sean Cassidy. So yeah, in the decks, you're going to get several different leader cards or main characters. You only have one, but they give you some options so you can play around with what you get. And the same with any other supporting characters, you get 4 copies of each. You might not need to include all 4 in your deck. You can swap guys around, but it gives you enough so that when you buy this, you can just sit down and you can play. You don't have to buy multiple. Oh, I wanted 4 copies of Bishop. I have to buy 2 copies just because it only came with 2. Nope, it's gonna come with the necessary number of copies to make a deck. Now it means if you play with like your brother or your sister or your mom or dad, and they want to play some of these cards and you want to play some of them, either you have to split them up or you have to buy a second set for each player to have a set. But that's entirely on you. I'd rather just buy more different characters. Alright, so Banshee's a level 1. He has Bold Yeller. In his combat, so the little circle means anytime. You can spend his superpower, gaze an enemy character in combat. And then he has Sonic Boom. So this is how he levels up. If he does these effects, he can become more powerful. When an enemy character gets turned face down, Banshee gains 1 XP. And once he does that 4 times, or anyone does it, he will level up. What does gaze mean? I do want to look at some of these keywords, which they do have in the book here, if I can find them. Gaze. An effect that stuns a character without gaining a wound. It works like a character getting stunned in all ways except adding the wound counter. So he can forcibly do this, or he can have somebody else do the wound. If he levels up, he goes to a yellow version. So the grays are level 1, and then yellow or golds are level 2. You see his stats go up. So he doesn't gain any more health. He's still at 5 health, but he does go from 3 attack and 4 defense to 6 and 9. He keeps his Bold Yeller ability, but now he gains Sonic Screech. During the main phase, you can spend a red to put 4 -1/-1 counters on an enemy character. If it's equipped, stun it instead. Cool. Just straight up stun a guy, which is very cool. Alright, then we're going to get Cyclops as a main character. Awesome artwork there. Unleash Optic Beam. Main, Cyclops strikes double his attack while ranged attacking this turn. And then Battlefield Leader, level up 9. When a character attacks, he gains 1 XP. Now, any character attacks on your side, he gains 1. When he levels up, he goes from 4-3 to 8-6. Teaches Unleashed Optic Beam, but also gets Battlefield Commander. Main, ready any number of characters on your side. So that's really cool as well. Then we have Marble Girl. AKA Jean Grey and Phoenix. So AKA just means if there's a card that references them, or when we were talking about discarding a card to support them, you can't play Marble Girl and Jean Grey and the Phoenix all at the same time, but they can support each other. Telekinetic Shield. Any combat, pay a yellow. Choose a defender on your side to get +0/+10 this combat. Ooh, that'll pretty much protect anybody. And Save the Day, level up 2. When a defender on your side survives a combat, Marble Girl gains 1 XP. So you can see like how the different levels up are a little bit easier, harder. Cyclops is anyone attacks. It's going to cost him a lot more XP to level up. Banshee stuns, not as easy, but it can happen, so he gets 4. But hers is going to be a lot harder to do, so you only need to do it twice. But she goes from 5-1 to a 10-2, so she has low defense, so she can take damage easily, but she's going to dish it back out. Keeps your Telekinetic Shield, but also gains Telekinetic Weapon. Any combat, choosing an attacker on the side to get +10 attack this round. Cool. We're going to get a playable Professor X. A dream worth having. Build. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, put each X-Men or Brotherhood supporting character into your hand, shuffle the rest back into your deck. All mutant kind are welcome. When an X-Men or Brotherhood supporting character appears on his side, he gains 1 XP. So he's going to level up pretty quick, but he goes from 1-6 up to a 3-12, so he's almost the opposite of Jean. His bottom one is a dream worth fighting for. Choose an X-Men or Brotherhood supporting character on the side, put a 1/1 counter equal to its attack on another Brotherhood or X-Men supporting character on the side. That's pretty cool, so you can have a powerful character it can essentially be boosting up other characters. Although to note that these do cost one of these resources, so you only get 4 copies of each in your deck of those resources. So like you're only able to use these abilities so many times. Then we have Storm, Aurora Monroe. I like to say their names. And again, Cyclops is of course Scott Summers. Obviously Marvel Girl is Jean Grey. Professor X is Charles Xavier. And Storm. She has Master Thief. Each enemy player discards a random card. And then Mistress of Elements. Level up 4. When a basic location appears on your side, Storm gains 1 XP. So she has to wait for your location cards. Cool. And then when she levels up, she gets Weather Witch. So this is kind of neat. So her abilities completely change. She goes from 3-4 to 6-7, but she gets rid of Master Thief and Mistress of Elements and becomes a Weather Witch. So main, pay 4 of them, create weather for the rest of the game. So Blizzard, at the start of each enemy player's main phase, freeze a character on their side. Freeze says it would help if they put all of these rules together, and they didn't. They put some on one page and some on the other page, which is not very helpful. When a character becomes frozen, exhausted, and it can't ready on its next turn. We have Fog, and enemy defenders can't strike. Cyclone. Enemy characters lose and can't gain flying. And Thunderstorm. At the start of each enemy's build phase, put a -1/-1 counter on each character on that side. So yeah, this is going to be very powerful. It costs all 4 to do it. So it's going to be hard to pull off. Necessarily it's going to cost you a lot to do it, but it's going to definitely mess up your opponent for the game. Those are 5 brand new leaders, main characters. Then we're going to get our support characters. Now, there are 4 copies of every one. If there aren't, I will definitely point that out. Because there can occasionally be some guys that don't have 4 for some reason, but I'll point out that happens. I'm not going to put all 4 cards up. So we're going to start with the lowest cost ones up to the top. We have Bishop here, Lucas Bishop. She's a 1/1 with range with 1. So I know it'll be like, why are these guys weaker than the others? This is how they have to be. It doesn't necessarily, so your main character has to be more powerful. A bundle of energy. When Bishop appears, put a 1/1 counter on for each blue location on every side. So yeah, if you're playing more players, that's going to get more powerful. We have Jubilee, Jubilation Lee, who has fireworks. Enemy characters have -1 attack roll in combat with Jubilee. Cool. So yeah, so she's 1/1, but she's a 3/2. But Bishop can potentially get a lot bigger. We're going to get Blink, Clarice Ferguson. Displacement Field. Combat. As this combat resolves, each enemy character strikes itself instead of a character on your side. Ooh, that's neat. That's a neat little effect. Iceman, Bobby Drake. Icebreaker, main, freeze, enemy location, exhausted, can't ready, exhausted, resources don't provide recruit points. Neat. So you're freezing a location, so they can't spend and pay things higher. So this is kind of like you play this on turn 2, you could spend that main, and that way your opponent's going to fall behind a little bit. We have Havoc, Alex Summers, Cyclops' bro. Energy conversion. When a character on your side uses a superpower, put a 1/1 counter on it. When enemy character uses superpower, put a -1/-1 counter on it. That's cool. Punishes people or positive. So now I have a couple of characters that are 1 copy. We have Multiple Man, which seems odd to say 1 copy, but it has 1 of a kind. It means you can only have 1 version of this specific card, which when they refer to that, it'll be like looking at its actual number version, not necessarily the picture or the name. But it has Swarm, which also means you can have any number of these cards out. So it's kind of a weird, it's kind of a weird thing back and forth. I'm going to see if I can find the exact, if they list the exact rules for Swarm. I don't think they do. I don't know why this is a main booklet and it doesn't even list all this. Yeah, Swarm is not even listed in here. Unless it's listed somewhere else. Like I said, this book has some weird ways it decided to put stuff in here. Rules and references, and it has select keywords. Let's see if they have anything under specific rules for multiple men. Nope. Yeah, that's really weird that they put that like that. But Swarm means you can have any number of these characters with this name. So normally you can only, again, have one multiple man. This lets you have many multiple men, but you can only have one version of this card. So if you get multiple men from other sets or series, you get more, and we're actually more of these. So it says Dupe Power. At the start of your main phase, you may search your deck for a character named multiple men, put them onto your side. So you have a 2/2 with 2 health. We do get this version of him, where he's a scientist. He has that Dupe Power as well. We also have Genius. At the start of your turn, draw a card. We get this version, which is Martial Artist. He has +2/+2 in melee combat. And then we get this version, which has Quick Draw. Well, Multiman is ranged, attacking enemy characters can't strike him. So they're all fairly cheap, but you can have different versions, which is kind of neat. And there might be other versions in other sets as well. Up next, we have Banshee. So I always love that they do this, is that you always get a support version that matches the character. So we have Night. Banshee appears, you may daze an enemy character. We have Polaris. Laura Dane. Manipulate magnetic field. Build for green. Reveal the top card from your deck and can reveal equipment. Put it in your hand. Remove the rest of the cards from the game. So you can find the equipment, which is, again, interesting because they said there's no equipment in this set. I don't know if I said Jamie Madrox, if I didn't mention that. We have Sage, whose real name I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's just Sage. But I don't know if they ever mentioned her last name or not. I don't recall. She's a 0/10. She has lots of defense because she's a superhuman computer. When she has attack, she gains attack to this combat until her attack is equal to the defender's defense. So basically, she can take out their exact amount. We have a Professor X. It says welcome home. Build yellow with the enemy player's hand. You may choose a supporting character there and recruit it. Oh, that's fun. You can recruit one of their characters. We have Cyclops. Fast trigger. Will in range combat, Cyclops strikes before characters without fast trigger. Nice, so he gets to attack quicker. We have Sunfire. It's Hiroshi. I forgot his last name. Solar Flare has 3/3 for each blue rotation on every side. So kind of like Bishop, except he gains a lot more power from it. We have Dupe, which I don't think has another name. Travel across the margin. When you recruit Dupe, you may put him into your hand. If you do, turn him around so he can watch the game. Okay. He's breaking the fourth wall here. Residents of Marginalina. Pay the 3 if Dupe is watching the game. Choose a phase for the next enemy player to skip. Draw, recovery, build, or main. That's kind of cool. Like, it's a weird little broken game feel. And our last support character is Rogue. So you'll notice we didn't get support cards for Storm or Marvel Girl. It's probably because they probably had some in previous sets. So they don't generally like to repeat them again. But we have Rogue here, where she's kicking the crap out of Ares. Rage. When Rogue gets attacked with a 1/1 counter on her wonderful strength. Double the 1/1 counters on Rogue. She can use this power any number of times this turn. Awesome. Then we have some plot twists. So we have Build It Up. Mutant Loyalty. Put this in your deck only if each card with a team, each character in your deck is a Brotherhood and or X-Men. Okay, so this is going to be a new thing I think they're trying out. It's like, you can have these cards, but you have to have only those things. So you have to have an X-Men character to play this, but they can't even be in here if you have anyone else. So it limits who can use them. Build during or turn up 2 face down basic locations with different names on your side. So this is very helpful for paying them superpowers. You get to use them again. We have this and that. During combat, put a 1/1 counter on a character on your side and a -1/-1 enemy character in combat. Fairly simple. But yeah, they don't cost stuff to play these, which is always nice. And then we have Defend the Weak. Combat, choose a character on your side to get +1 attack, +3 defense. We have a special location, so generally every team in the game eventually gets one. This is School for the Gifted Youngsters, which I think you've might have seen before. This is a new artwork for it. So this acts as any of the 4 locations for an X-Men character specifically. So it lets you get one of those powers out a lot quicker. But it's not a basic location, so if you have a card that says do something in the basic location, it doesn't count. Then we have one last plot twist, which we do we only have 2 copies, or are there 2 of them? Yeah, there's 4 copies. There's 2 that are listed with the X-Men deck, and then 2 listed with the Brotherhood deck. This is Secondary Mutation. So there's Mutant Loyalty. You also have to have either a Brotherhood or an X-Men character out. Build, choose a character on your side. They randomly get one of the following powers they don't already have for the rest of the game. Flying, Ranged, Berserker, Dodge, Ferocious, or Lethal. Flying, Ranged obviously makes sense. We've seen kind of what those do. The other ones are, let's see if they have listed in here. Berserker is when they attack, they get a 1/1 counter on them. Dodge, character can't be ranged attack. Ferocious, while melee combat, strikes before characters without Ferocious. And Lethal, a character wounds defending supporting character, KO it. So yeah, basically extra attack, extra defense, damage first, or kill someone. So that's pretty cool. Then that is all we have for the X-Men set. We're gonna hop right into the Brotherhood. And we're gonna start with good old King Marco, the Juggernaut, who has Invulnerable and Main. Juggernaut can't be stunned or wounded this turn. The Crimson Gem of Sidorak. Level up 2. When you play a red basic location, Juggernaut gains 1 XP. So that's going to become a little bit trickier to do because he has to have why is my brain not working here? You have to play a red card, so it's going to be a little bit trickier to get that out. I was trying to see what Indestructible does, but again, they don't list all of these in the turn. But I'm guessing Indestructible probably has something to do with him not being able to die. Nope, and that doesn't specify it either. Yeah, I don't really like the fact that the rulebook doesn't explain what all these keywords are. That would be very helpful. Especially if this is supposed to be a game you can just pick up and start. Because it doesn't say it requires the core set, because it really doesn't. Anywho, we'll just keep moving on. Maybe another card will explain it. Here he has Main, can't be stunned or wounded this turn. Limitless Strength, pay 2 red. Juggernaut has infinite attack for the rest of the game. Basically, he can defeat anybody he comes across. Cool. We have Magneto, Eric Lencher, or Max Einhart, depending on which version you like to call him. There are no sides. Build, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, put each one character into your hand, shuffle the rest back into the deck. Saviors of Mutant Kind. When an X-Men or Magneto or Brotherhood character appear on your side, he gains 1 XP. So, just to also point out, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, put one and shuffle the rest back into your deck. Pay 4, does the same thing. So he levels up the same way as Professor X for this. So I like that they're basically equals in that sense. His level 2 is there are no sides. Do that again. There's just what I want. Choose a face up, Brotherhood or X-Men supporting character. Put 1/1 counters on equal to Magneto's attack. Cool. So if you boost them up, you could probably do some extra ones with that as well. Then we're going to get Mystique, Raven Darkholm. Infiltrator, name a team. Mystique can attack the enemy characters with that team this turn, even while they're protected. And so many targets. Level up 5. At the start of your main phase, Mystique gains 1 XP for each different enemy team. Cool. So basically your player plays a bunch of different stuff. She can level up quicker. And then she levels up. She has Infiltrator and Deceiver. Name an enemy team. Enemy characters on that team can't attack Mystique on their next turn. That's cool. It's a neat thing. Unexpected. Silver Samurai. Hirosha Yaga? I think? I believe that's what it is. He has a Tachyon field. When Silver Samurai strikes an enemy, defender in melee combat this turn, stun it. Test your strength. When Silver Samurai stuns an enemy in melee combat, he gains 1 XP. Cool. And then his level up is Advanced Tachyon field. For the rest of the game, when Silver Samurai strikes an enemy, defender in melee combat stun, he just has to strike them and he stuns them. Ancient Art of Bushido. Draw 3 cards if Silver Samurai stun an enemy in this melee combat. And then our last main character is also kind of surprising. We have Toad. This is pretty fun. Prehensile Tongue. Toad has range and has 7 attack this turn. Ooh, that's neat. Live to Serve. Level up 10. When a character appears on your side, give Toad XP equal to how much more attack it has than Toad. And since he starts with 0, that means anything you play, he'll eventually keep getting them. That's a neat way to level up. Upgrades his keep Prehensile Tongue, also gains Mighty Leap. Has Flying, has +7 this attack. And now he has up to 4 attack. And you could potentially pay for both of them. Give him ranged and flying, and give him 14 attack. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the fact when you get some of these different characters in there. We have the Blob, Fred Dukes. Toad was Tony Mordaby. Mordaby? I think that's how it's pronounced. Bob, he has gravitational mass allocation. Bob can't be moved on enemy turns. Pain immunity. Bob can't be wounded until your next turn. Nice little small guy. And we have the Toad support character. He has leap on your turn. He gains flying and grab. On the front row, enemy characters can't fly over Toad. Pyro. John Saint. Saint. I want my brain saying Saint Elmo's, but I know that's wrong. Some of these enemy cards are harder for me to remember. I'll try my best. Because they don't list. They're not in as many comics. That's sort of the issue. But this is his Marauders version after he got resurrected. Mr. Burns. That's awesome. Burn the enemy in the front row supporting character. Stun it at the end of each of your turns. That's cool. So you have a lot of stun effects in here. We have Quicksilver. Pietro Maximoff. Out of nowhere, when you recruit Quicksilver, you may remove him from the game. If you do, starting your next turn, during any of your recruit steps, you may put him onto your side. So that's kind of cool, right? You can play him, and then you can remove him right away and have him pop up on the next turn if you'd like. We have Gakken, or Akiro, Wolverine's son, who has Berserker. When he attacks, put a 1/1 counter on him, and then Violent. When attacking support characters, Gakken strikes with double his attack. So he's going to take out them support guys. Sabretooth. Victor Krieg. Superhuman Senses. Sabretooth has +4 attack and stealth this turn. He can melee attack protected characters. Mimic. Kelvin Rankin. Mimic C, Mimic Do. Main. For each character on your side, with each of the following names, Mimic gains that effect. If you have Angel, he gains flying and air superiority. Beast, draw 2 cards. Cyclops, range and fast trigger. Iceman, freezing enemy character. Or Marvel Girl, choose a character on your side, you get +10 attack this turn. That's pretty crazy. Air superior characters of flying can't strike this character, so you can dodge air characters. It's for each character on your side. So this is kind of interesting because if you think about it, if you just pick up the Brotherhood side, he's not going to have access to any of these abilities. So you basically have to put him into a combined deck, right? And that's kind of neat. It works very well like that. And there are versions of these might be different. You could maybe get Iceman or Angel that are part of the Champions, or Beast that's part of the Defenders. I'm assuming they have versions of these. I'm not 100% positive. But you could get different versions of these characters in different teams. And they work, because it's not worried if they're an X-Men or not, just as long as it's that card. We have Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. Change probability. As a combat Scarlet Witch resolves, flip a coin for each enemy character with strike. For each one that loses, they can't strike this combat. It's kind of neat. Avalanche. His name is I can't remember. I want to say his first or last name has a P in it. It starts with a P. I think it's his last name. Name might be like, God, I want to say it's like Duncan Pieros, something like that. He's I don't remember though. I think he's Australian. Seismic Shift. When an avalanche stuns an enemy character in combat, you may turn an enemy location face down. Interesting. Limit their resources, or their superpowers. We have Juggernaut again. Headbutt. Gaze the main enemy in the front row character. Juggernaut could melee attack. Mystique. Infiltrator, name a team. Any that character in this team can attack enemy characters this turn if they're protected. Silver Samurai. Master Strategist. When Silver Samurai appears, you may move to an enemy character, its front or back row, and Combat Master. When Silver Surfer is in combat, enemy players can't play Plot Twist. Oh, that's nasty. We have Alpha. This is the guy that turns Magneto to a baby at one point. Super Intelligence. Main. Each enemy player has 2 less recruit points on their next turn. That's kind of helpful. Especially if you know they have like a power card coming. And then finally we have Magneto. Megal with Megal. Rearrange any number of equipment. That's kind of neat. You move the equipment around. Combine with Polaris, you could, in the X-Men side, you could then get them cards out. Just gotta wait till we get some equipment in one of these sets. Alright, then we're gonna go ahead and look at their plot twists for the Brotherhood. Always attack. So it's one of the Krakoan gates. Combat. Choose a character on your side this combat to gain 3 attack and 1 defense. So you kind of see what's interesting there. So if we look at the X-Men ones, right? They had one that was almost the opposite, right? Yep, they had defend, so that gets defense, and this one gets you attack. So we're going to kind of get stuff that's sort of the opposite, but again, you can mix them together and play some different stuff. We have Pierce. This is a melee combat. Choose a character on our side, just gets ferocious and +2 attack for this combat. And their other version was, the X-Men version was this and that, where it's you get 1 counter and another player gets minus. This just basically boosts up your side completely. And then we have Burn It Down, which is the opposite of the Build It Up card. Put only if you have the loyalty of one of the two. Build, turn up to 2 basic enemy locations, different namespace down. So the Build It Up lets you flip yours up. This lets you put your enemies down. Yeah, so that could definitely help you shut down their abilities while you're building up your own. Then they get Asteroid M as their specific base, which works for them. And then we have that secondary mutation again. Then the last cards we have in here are, there are 8 copies each, so 4 for each deck. We have the Academy, which are our yellow locations. They're our basic locations, provide the yellow symbol, which I think is like genius or mental. We have Fortress, which is your strength. Is that the Oricus thing? We have the Science one, which is the laboratory, which is of course is showing Krakoa there. And then finally we have the Training Ground, which is showing them just doing some battling, which is the red combat symbol. And you'll get 4 for each deck, so you have 8 total, but that's enough to make each deck for 4 and 4. And that's all you get, including your deck, is up to 4 of each. So some of them abilities, you have to wait. You can use them twice, so if you have some guy that likes to do the ability, you only be able to do it twice unless you have a way to flip it back over. But, alright, so that is what we have for the Heroes of Krakoa set, the House of X box. Yeah, come back, definitely check back in when we go over the rest of the set. We'll go over the Brotherhood and then eventually the X-Force set. Hope to see you guys then. Bye.